Oh, hi. I'm Kyle. I'm a writer for Geek Truth. The style is very distinctive. I've been to Trinity College in Dublin and seen the Book of Kells. I wonder, is this a consistent style over the three films?
Maybe I can answer that. Hello. I think the style of the three movies is kind of similar, but very different in a way. I think The Secret of Kells was very inspired by the Book of Kells, but the rest of them, I think that they just kept things that they work for them for their movies, like. The graphicness on the shapes for characters and backgrounds and objects and stuff like that. But for this movie, they really wanted to push all their skills and make like a very unique piece, keeping in mind that it would be part of this, but not having that as something to stop doing another thing. So I think the style for this movie was very inspired for by the linocut style, medieval style, and for the sketches that we all do when we just go to draw. So I think it was a combination of both, but it's not that they had to keep anything related to the previous movies. I think it's just now on the style of the studio itself.
My question would go to anyone in the visual styling. What is your position in the importance on keeping alive two-dimensional animation in a world where essentially every other big budget animation studio has deemed it extinct in filmmaking?
I think there is something about the hand drawn that it is more free. Like I feel like you can play more with the style and push the style more, even though that we see a lot of 3D animated films looking much more different. The Spider-Verse and but I think there is something unique and very organic about the hand-drawn style. And I also think that if you are working with a budget that that is a certain size, I think you can get more with the hand-drawn style. I mean, that's just purely my my personal opinion. I love a bunch of the CG movies, and I think just to have as broad a spectrum as possible is the best. It's very easy to kind of grow tired if everything just looks the same. So no matter the medium, if it has a new twist, I'm all for it.
I can maybe chime in a bit there as well with regards how the I like we did the wolf vision sequences for this, which involved 3D. So there's really a blurring of lines between what is 3D versus what is 2D. Like Spider-Verse keeps getting brought up again and again, but the fact that they were actually drawing on top of the 3D animation as well, like it's really just about whatever type of story you want to tell, the skills of the people involved, like their own background, and just mechanically how you make it that makes the films at the end of the day. So
my question is, most of the humans are drawn with these sharp lines as if sort of roughly stamped on a primitive press. But then by contrast, you have Mebh and Mole who rendered with these very sort of rounded strokes and loosely done as if with pencil and watercolor. Can you talk about the decision to use these two different combinations of techniques and why you chose them for those particular characters?
That's I can totally talk about that. So the idea was from the very beginning, from like Tom and Ross were discussing at the beginning of the script, that they wanted, because that's very doable in 2D animation, to make very symbolic, contrasting styles for what was the town and what was the forest, because is helping visually what's the central conflict in the movie, that is, between what's considered order and civilization and what's considered the wilderness. So as they did, they just started researching art from the period, and there is a lot of woodcuts that are really interesting for the period that have indeed, as woodcut has this very dry and edgy and kind of like blocky look to it, and that really naturally was like just got into the style because it made sense that where Lord Protector, for example, is the representator of practically what is all this idea of order and Puritanism, it would be also the style very rigid, where then to contrast, they just decided to go exactly in the opposite sense and have this very loose style in the forest that would evoke freedom and the absence of boundaries, the possibility of being whatever you want and you dream of. That's exactly what Robyn happened to be in the movie, where she starts being blocky and constrained in a cage that society and her father created. And then through the movie, you can see her outline changing because she's getting just freer and freer thanks to this new knowledge that she has of the outside world.
I think the movie is enchanting, and I really love the whole girl power part of things. But you do notice there is a bit of a difference, of course, between what happens in the forest and what happens in the town. And I'm wondering, are the illustrators different? Do you separate the team from who works in the town and who does the artwork in the forest? And then what's the communication process like when you go to integrate the two?
I think when we start doing scene illustration, we had people that was naturally more skilled to do the woodcut style and the style for the town, and people that naturally was more sketchy and it was working better for the forest. So from the very beginning, we kind of have a little bit of separation on people who was good with the town and people who was good with the forest, at least for the backgrounds. And as we kept going and the department starting to go like final line and backgrounds, I know that there was always people that would be more comfortable drawing the forest and doing flowers and trees and flowy compositions, and then people that would feel more comfortable doing the town. But at some point, everyone was doing a little bit of everything. There was this girl, Clara, that she was really, really good with the town, and she mainly did town through all the movie. She did just maybe 2 or 3 forest backgrounds, but she was very, very good and very fast doing the town. So we tried to keep her doing that. And there was other people like Emily or Laura, and that they were very good doing just like sketchy lines. So we tried to make it the most efficient for the production. But yeah, at some point, I think everyone was doing everything. And when we start color backgrounds, everyone, the team was super small, so everyone was doing everything. So I think, at least for backgrounds, that was a little bit the mix.
Thank you.
You guys said that you wanted they wanted you to use a lot of natural sounds. How often does that involve you guys actually like recording it yourself versus using something from like a sound archive or something?
Demande s'il y a des trucs qu'on a enregistrés nous, des trucs de sound.
There is a mix. When we saw the film, we make a list and we check what we have and what we need for this movie. So the first thing is the director wanted to have a real forest, you know. All the immersive details, sound details in the forest were very important for the director. So we decided to have a sound field recording in a real forest directly in Dolby Atmos. Things like that. And for the wolves, this is the same thing. We recorded some, we tried to record in some dogs and wolf because we need the 2 species for this movie.
So my question is, do you work with the voice talent and the music to make it all come together as a whole sound experience?
Est-ce qu'on travaille avec les...
Yeah, yeah. Sebastian and Philippe are going to answer after, but yeah, we have some rough of the music, but the fact is that to give the more rich sound feel as possible, the guys here managed to work without it also, so that at the end the recording mixer can manage to take whatever elements he thinks served the movie at that point. So in a way, yeah, they had elements, but also they put it aside to give their techniques and artistic direction to it, and then the re-recording mixer doing the mix and the final thing.
Yeah, here towards the dialogues, actually, when we start to work on the movie, we receive all the audio clips with the voices recorded, and here the dialogue editor Annelise had a lot of work to try, to find in all the rest of the sound that haven't been used directly, to find some little details to add. For instance, respiration, a little something that can sometimes help the characters to be alive on the screen.
And for the music, we receive at the beginning a temp music from the composer. So just to know where is the music and how is the music. It's very interesting because you doesn't edit. Sorry. Tu montes différemment quant à la musique.
Okay, because here is when you have actual music or even a temp music like we had, the work of sound editing will be a little bit different yeah. Because you don't want the music and the sound effects or everything to fight each other. You want them to be like one part of one big soundtrack, which is composed of course, dialogues, sound effects, atmospheres, and music. You don't want it to be separated. You want everything to be just like something cohesive. If it's an English word, I'm not sure.
Great, thank you very much.
Sorry, hello. The connection was so bad, I did not understood what you say. I'm sorry, my English is very poor, so I'm going to try to answer. But
I was just asking about your process for composing.
Oh, okay. For animation film, it's very special process because the process is very long. So I received first of all some drawers, very rough, and start to write music with a chronology from the top, and little by little I discovered the real images, pictures of the film. First of all, I tried to find a motif with a few notes, and little by little I work with this motif, and I start by writing some very rough orchestration at the beginning, but I need to know the definitive pictures, the definitive colors to write really deeply the orchestration.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question comes from Cherry.
How did you all select the instruments? Did you use musical instruments or try to get the sound from what we think they sounded like back in the day, since we don't have recordings from the imaginary time when that took place? Thank you.
For this film, there is a very important magic aspect in the film. So I tried to make stronger this aspect with and for me to obtain magic effects with music. It's great to use voices, for example, metamorphosis of voices, a special way of writing strings. I use celesta, harp, dulcimer, and the orchestra. And also I worked with an Irish band named Killa, and so a lot of very separate things, but I love it. It's like a Capharnaum of instruments. I start yes by a little motif, and with a voice of a singer, a young girl, and after I built the music with these elements.